Anyway, the proud sponsors of the Big Man in the Woods podcast.
Unlucky for some, but it's not going to be unlucky for you. It's episode 13 here on Big Man in the Woods. Hello, it's Mark. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to this really cool podcast. This one is short and sweet, I'm afraid, just over 20 minutes long. There's a reason for that. I had a unexpected visit to Black Park. Went to go meet a mate of mine, and I thought, while I'm there, I'm going to record a podcast. So all my ideas and notes were left at home, and I recorded it while walking around Black Park, which is just over 500 acres of woodlands. It's got heathlands and a massive lake. I was brought up there. I was always there most weekends as a kid, so it's just the other side of Slough, next door to Pinewood Studios, as you'll find out later in the podcast. I talk about my new course that I've signed up to, the Paul Kirtley Tree and Plant ID course, and a bit of this, and a bit of that, and a brand new announcement to the Big Man in the Woods podcast. You'll find it all here on episode 13. It's, like February the 18th or something as I record this today, and it's really nice. It's February half term. I've managed to actually sneak a day off the holidays away from my wife and daughter. I used a bit of an excuse. I met up with a really old friend of mine. Her name is Stan, and we met at a really cool place that I used to come here as a kid a lot. It's Black Park. Black Park, just the other side of Slough, next door to Pinewood Studios. 860 acres of glorious woodlands and heaths and a huge lake. And if you know this area, I'm just walking up to the heathland area where all the heather and wild cows are. That's where I'm currently walking. There's a few things why I'm here. One of the things I'm here for is for some fire lighting gear. So I've just found a fallen silver birch, so I've got a whole load of silver birch bark. It's like Christmas has come early. What else have I found? King Alfred's cake. I'm just looking at some more here. Cramp balls. Really good fire lighting techniques using those old primitive skills, flint and steel. I'll be doing that a bit later. But the main reason I'm here is to do some tree IDing. I've signed up to the Paul Kirtley Tree and Plant ID Masterclass. That got launched over the weekend, and I was straight to sign up. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I should have done it last year, but for family reasons and work-related reasons, I was unable to do it. So I'm here doing Module 1. Just having a look around the different trees. I'm standing next to a conifer tree here. Smells lovely. Next to a pine tree as well. Just to try and put what I've been watching on the masterclass online that Paul's done to reality. See if I can walk around and guess a few things. Now it's just the basic stages at the moment. Just learning about bark and leaves, and as Paul said, this is one of the hardest times of the year to do tree IDing because the majority of the trees have lost their leaves, so you're just trying to ID the tree by the shape and the branches and the bark, not by the leaves. So it's going well. As I said, I've only just been doing this for a few days, so we'll see how it goes. But I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great new year and you enjoyed the last podcast with Molly Hughes, one of the youngest Brits to summit Mount Everest. We'll be talking to her hopefully later on in the year to see if she managed to do her second trip up the south side of Mount Everest. But just wanted to say hello. In this episode, I actually wanted to talk about the bird watch that I did, and I also got my scouts to do it as well. So part of their nature badge is they had to spend an hour in the last weekend in January counting the birds that came into their garden, and I did that as well. I'll put the results up on the website. It's been quite interesting, and we will submit that to the RSPB Big Bird Watch 2015. Last year, number one, I think off the top of my head, was the robin. Or I may have just made that up. I think I might have made that up. I will correct myself on the website. But now we're here, just coming up to the heathland, and the heather has all died back. But I remember coming here as a kid, and beautiful pink, bright, vivid pink, up here in Black Park. If you haven't been here, as I say, 860 acres of glorious woodlands. And it is a shame now, because when I was here as a kid in the lake, I'm out of puff because it's a long old fair old walk around here. What was I saying? Yeah, as a kid I used to come here and used to be able to swim in the lake. They used to have a section cornered off for swimmers. You used to be able to get paddle boats, and all that has stopped. We used to have a little barbecue, but sadly that's not been allowed. So it's a shame, but it's actually nice coming back here and appreciating Black Park in a different way. When I was here as a kid, it was just a place to run around and find a gun, the biggest gun you could find. That was just a twig. It's not a real gun, you can't find that. And now I come here as a grown adult, age 34, and I see it in a different way. There's a stream here. I'm just thinking, shall I cross it or not? It's tempting, but I'm too tired. And now I come here, and as I was saying, see it in a different light. I appreciate the trees a lot more, but one thing I do appreciate more is being outside. Working and living in central London, you got the hustle and bustle, and just coming here, it's like 20 minutes drive from where I live in central London to Black Park here in Buckinghamshire, and it's like in another world. It's amazing. And nothing. I can hear one plane rumbling from Heathrow Airport, but that's about it. I've been walking for about 15 minutes and I haven't come across anybody. I'm actually at the far end of Black Park, so not many people come up this way. With the kids, everyone kind of stays down by the lake and cafe area, but never mind. We have got really cool news about Big Man in the Woods podcast. So I'm really pleased to announce that the podcast is now sponsored by Anave, the company that produce and design the Frontier stove. They've also got the Horizon stove, which is a bit more bulkier, so that's more for clamping. That's a new word. That car camping or glamping. It's not like a hiking stove, but you can use it in your back garden, take it to the beach or something like that. But they've got the Frontier stove that we all know and love as fellow campers and bushcrafters. I came across the Frontier stove about 6 or 7 years ago when I was doing a survival course down in the Lizard, down in Cornwall. I was doing a charity course for Shelterbox. Shelterbox is a company. Oh, it's getting a bit chilly up here. A charity that go out and send emergency boxes to disaster zones. And you can buy these boxes, you can sponsor these boxes, and you get a tag, like a number, and then you can find out where your box is going through, what disaster in the whole of the world. In the shelter box, is a tent. I think it's a 10-man tent, a Frontier stove, some blankets, some plates, some cutlery, some cooking ware, and the Frontier stove. And that's one of the reasons why the Frontier stove was designed, was for disaster areas. You can cook, you can keep warm, you can boil water. It's amazing stuff. And then that has been picked up by the fellow bushcrafters and campers. Lots of people use it in their teepees, but as I said, the main predominantly was to use it in disaster zones. So that's the thing. And then now it's all been adapted. You can buy a hot water jacket and put a kettle on it, whole of the other little things. But it's a good little stove. So I'm proud that the podcast Big Man in the Woods is now sponsored by Anave. And if you want a little discount code, drop me an email, mark@bigmaninthewoods.co.uk, and I will send you that promo code to get you some discount off the Frontier stove, which is really, really cool. Talking about email me, don't forget to sign up to the email list, because this is going to be the last time you can join the email list to win the Snugpack Jungle Hammock. To win that, you have to sign up to the email. And the email listing, I'm not going to spam you. It's just to tell you when a new podcast or YouTube video or some exciting bit of news. That's the only reason to sign up for the email listings. I won't do anything else. I'm not going to sell it to anybody and that kind of stuff. So, head over to the website, bigmaninthewoods.co.uk, click on Win Prizes and sign up there. But there's always a but to everything, isn't there? In this podcast, a special 24-hour podcast, okay? I will put the dates on the website and on Facebook when the 24 hours date is going to be. And this is just a 24-hour competition. Your chance to win a brand new mill bag. So mill bag to filter your water. We're also going to throw in a survival tool, a credit card tool, and listen to this here, guys, a year's subscription to the Bushcraft Journal. That is cool, saving yourself, I think it's 20 quid an annual subscription, but we're going to give you that free of charge. But as I say, this is only a 24-hour competition, so I will let you know where and when that date is. Wow. I am out of puff. I've now walked around Black Park twice. I've walked around it with my friend Stan and his dog, and then they went off, and then I thought I'll come back here and do some podcast recording. I'm right in the middle of the heather heathland now, and they're just coppicing some trees or something. I'm not sure what they're doing over there. Actually, they're just trimming back the hedges by the looks of it. So it's been a cool couple of months. Work is going really well, my new job. And also a crazy idea I had just before Christmas. I didn't tell you about this because I wasn't sure how well it would be going. I signed up to Slimming World. Yep. I'm not afraid to admit it now, actually. I kept it quite quiet for a while. It was kind of a bit embarrassing. But now 3 months in... No, it's not 3 months. It's coming up to 3 months. I started the week before Christmas, and everyone was like, no, Mark, don't sign up to that before Christmas. But it's going well. I've lost a stone and a half in just coming up to 3 months, which I'm really proud of doing that. And that's going to help me get out and about when I go and do more of my walks. It'll be cool. So just a quick little podcast. I got a load more coming up, but I just wanted to record a quick podcast while I was here in Black Park. I know quite a few of you have enjoyed my talks when I've been out and about in locations, and you've asked me to do that. So Black Park, here I am. This is a location for numerous videos because it's next door to Pinewood. So lots of James Bond films have been filmed here, Harry Potter films have been filmed here, and dare I say it, Spice World. Do you remember that one with the Spice Girls? That was filmed in locations in Black Park. So it's all going well. Don't forget, Bushcraft Journal just got launched 1st of February. It's going down really, really well. This episode had 96 pages of pure articles all about the outdoors and survival, bushcraft, camping, a whole load of things. You can go over there. And the best thing is, oh, that was a bit cheesy, but hey, no adverts, which is amazing. Oh, I just take my coat off. It's getting really warm in the sun here. No adverts. So head over to the bushcraftjournal.com and sign up. I think it's £3.50 for one journal, for one edition, or 20 quid for a year, and it's bi-monthly, so you'll get it every other month. And I'm writing now. I shouldn't say I'm writing. I'm doing a page of interviews. So I'm interviewing people and then and that gets put into the magazine. So it's not a article as such, but it's spreading the word of Big Man in the Woods podcast. Now I've got a crazy idea. I had this at the weekend. I don't want to tell you the location on the toilet. It's oddly enough, I have really cool ideas while I'm on the toilet. Not sure why, but hey, a bit too personal. But I've said it now. What's this? This is an old oak tree. Amazing. It's like a big driftwood. I'll take a photo of that in a minute. In fact, I'm going to stop the podcast now and take a photo of this tree.
From the makers of the Frontier Stove and the Horizon Stove, Anyway, the proud supporters of the Big Man in the Woods podcast.
All right, there we go. Taking a photo of a random fallen dead tree. Don't know why, just thought it looked cool. What was I talking about? On the toilet, yeah, that's right. So I had an idea over the weekend of starting another podcast. Yes, this will be my about 5th podcast, something like that. Crazy. But it's called, it's a few names banded around. Mini Man in the Woods. That's the latest, or Big Man in the Woods bite size. Haven't quite decided, so I want you guys to decide. Email me, mark@bigmaninthewoods.co.uk, mark@bigmaninthewoods.co.uk. Tell me what name you like. Little Man in the Woods, or Small Man in the Woods, something like that, or Big Man in the Woods bite size. Oh, it's hot. Hot is probably like 4 degrees or 5 degrees or something, but sunshine is lovely, great blue skies. Anyway, back to the podcast idea. What it was is, like, this podcast is just random things that pop into my head that I've seen, that I'm going to talk about during the past month, what I've been up to. But this one is going to be a mini 5-minute podcast. That's it, maximum 6 minutes. It'll be a 1-question podcast. So it'll be, you can submit a question and I will kind of answer it. I was thinking more of a how-to guide. So how do I light fire in the rain? How do I pick the best tent? How do I pick a rucksack? What meal should I cook in a one pot? Random questions like that. Bite-sized questions, just one question and a really simple answer. Ooh, as I go across a cattle grid, in my Wellington boots. Survived. So yeah, back mini podcast, 5 minutes, one question instead of random things that I talk about in my podcast. So that's an idea I'm going to be starting in the next couple of months. So it'll be a 1 week podcast, a podcast every week. What am I talking about? So you'll get 52 podcasts in the whole of the year instead of 12. And it's just an idea. It's just a silly little idea I had. There we are. All right, I'm just coming to the end of the heathland and the heather here at Black Park, and I'm walking back into the foresty area, which backs onto Pinewood Studios, which is quite cool because I can see some sets. Not sure what they're filming, but yeah, this is a nice neck of the woods to be in. So my last little things I wanted to talk about, I've told you about the Frontier Stove and Anave sponsoring the podcast, which is really, really cool for both podcasts and you guys, because it will help get more stuff out there. But what I wanted to talk about is television. What's that got to do with camping, Mark? It's not the outside. Well, 2 really interesting programs are on at the moment. Channel 5 is what's it called, 10,000 BC, about the caveman. I think there was a bunch of 20 people, and then 2 dropped out, and then 2 jumped out, and they're down to the final 6. And I was enjoying the first 2 episodes. I really was enjoying them until they ran out of food, and then the producers stepped in and gave them McDonald's and orange juices and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it wasn't McDonald's, maybe I exaggerated, but they did give them some food, and then the snow, and then so they abandoned the whole experiment of cave people living in the woods in Bulgaria, 10,000 BC. So they spent 7 days back into the hotel It was all a bit bizarre. And then I kind of was researching, and I found out that the guys were having hose-piped water piped to them because they were struggling getting water, they were struggling getting food. The kind of thing got whole abandoned. And then when you start reading into it and looking into it more, you found out that the guys only had a few days training before they set off for this experiment, and most of the training was done via DVD, which was really bizarre. So while they got stopped, they had 7 days of pure, intense training with 2 bushcraft and caveman experts, firelighting, catching wood, how to store the meat correctly without the maggots getting in touch with it, and all that kind of really ruined it now. So I haven't watched another episode since last Monday or whatever. Ooh. Another cattle grid. Nearly fell in that time. So yeah, it's kind of spoilt it really. So let me know on your views on 10,000 BC. But the other one, yay, I know you're going to be wanting me to talk about this, is the new Bear Grylls Survival Island, which starts Friday at 8 o'clock on ITV. So it's the 20th of February. Bear takes X amount of celebrities onto an island, and they have got to decide, they've got to defend for themselves, and Bear teaches them techniques and stuff like that, and then they get booted out week by week. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And I know not many people are the best Bear Grylls fans, but you know, if you're fellow listeners, that I am a big Bear Grylls fan. I met him a few times, but one of the main reasons why, personally, he got me outside, I used to watch a lot of his Discovery programs, and he was the one that inspired me to join the Scouts. Yep, Bear doesn't do the best things, and I know people are kind of like, oh, Bear Grylls, why does he do that? Why does he do that? Oh, why does he drink his own piss? But it's all for TV, you know. He's not a Ray Mears, he's not showing you how to do bushcraft stuff. Yeah, some of the things he does is a bit silly, but it's all for telly, and people are talking about him a lot, so hey. And the other big thing, he's inspired a lot of young people to join the Scouts, and the Scouting movement all around the world is just amazing. And we did a little experiment, me and a guy called Jethro. Hello, Jethro, I know you listened to this. We were in Gilwell Reunion. Not Gilwell Reunion, sorry. It was the winter camp, I beg your pardon. Winter camp at Gilwell in the middle of January. And we did an experiment. Jethro thought, oh, what's he talking about? Has Bear really inspired all these young people to join Scouts? So we did. We asked a whole load of Scouts. A fair few of them actually said yes. He has inspired us to go scouting. A few of them were like, oh, Bear Grylls, but hey. So that's it. Just wanted to wrap this podcast up now, just as I'm coming to the top end of the fields at Black Park, soon to come to the lake, and then I will get in my car and drive home to West London and go and see my lovely wife and gorgeous daughter. So just want to say thank you very much. Once again, Big Man in the Woods podcast is sponsored by Anave. And if you do want a discount code to go and get your Frontier stove, drop me an email, mark@bigmaninthewoods.co.uk. But before we end this podcast, I'm pleading, asking you if you can do me a huge favour. Go over to iTunes and Stitcher and subscribe to this podcast. Leave me a really nice comment, of course, and a 5-star review would be amazing. The more people find out about the podcast, the more exciting it's going to get. A few podcasts coming up very soon. I'm just waiting for him to come back to the UK. There's a guy called David McKay, and he made headlines on the BBC News just last month. Him and a few mates went off to Turkey into the woods for a day hike. Things happened, and they actually spent 8 days in the woods with no shelter, no food, nothing like that. And we're going to speak to this guy about his real life survival experience. That'll be coming up in the next couple of podcasts. I can't say exactly when, just because I'm waiting for him to come back in the UK to do the interview. So there we are. Another podcast done, and I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know what you think about the podcast, and I will see you next time. All the best. It's Mark, and this is Big Man in the Woods.
From the makers of the Frontier Stove and the Horizon Stove, Anyway, the proud supporters of the Big Man in the Woods podcast.